Hi, I'm Kyle Ingham, founder of the Distilled Man. This is a review of my experience with original stitch made-to-measure shirts. So if you're like most guys, you probably don't have a lot of shirts that fit you very well. I hate to break it to you, but most of us guys wear shirts that are just too big for us if we're wearing off-the-rack stuff. You know, we get our neck size measured, we get our sleeve length measured, but the body's completely off. It's, you know, too flabby. It makes us look huge, like it doesn't fit our bodies. In my free ebook, I talk about how when I discovered tailoring shirts and how I could get my shirts taken in to fit my body and fit my measurements, it was an eye-opening experience. And, you know, suddenly I basically broke up with the rest of my closet because I had these two shirts that I had taken to the dry cleaner and had adjusted to fit my body. And it was amazing to see what a big difference fit makes. So while I had discovered the importance of fit, you know, way back then when it came to, you know, taking things in that I had already owned, up until recently I hadn't had a chance to experience the new up-and-coming trend of made-to-measure. And if you're not familiar with made-to-measure, essentially made-to-measure is a step between, you know, an off-the-rack shirt or off-the-rack clothing and fully custom. So, you know, whereas custom, you're getting something completely made to you from scratch, and maybe that involves several fittings. Made to measure is a lot less expensive. Ultimately, what they do is they take pre-created patterns, like off-the-rack shirts would do, but then adjust them to fit your actual measurements. And so what you end up with is a shirt that fits you like custom, but it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. So recently I had a chance to customize my own shirt and build my own shirt through Original Stitch, and I just wanted to share my experience. So to start out, I measured myself. Well, actually, I measured myself first, and then I actually had my wife measure me because I was afraid that I was going to mess it up. But one thing to note is that Original Stitch does have a lot of great videos on the site about how to measure yourself and to do it the proper way. So before sitting down to design my shirt, first I made myself an old-fashioned. You know, you can't sit at a computer too long without refreshment. It's not good for the soul. Then I went to originalstitch.com. I hit the Design My Shirt button. From there, I got to pick out my fabric. I decided to go with a dressy fabric. There were well over 100 different fabrics to choose from. I chose good old light blue. Then I selected long sleeve because I have really puny arms and I never tan, so it's best to keep those puppies covered. Next, it was time to pick my collar. I've got kind of a long face, and I knew that a spread collar could help widen my features, so I picked a wide spread collar. So far, my shirt was looking pretty good. From there, I got to decide whether I wanted to do a contrasting color for my cuffs or my collar. And I'm not a big fan of the Bill Lumbergh look, so I just kept it basic. Just used the same color blue. From there, I got to choose my inner collar fabric. There are a ton of different colors to choose from. I didn't want it to be ridiculously loud, but I wanted something interesting that would complement the blue. So I chose this purple plaid pattern. Purple plaid pattern. Say that 3 times fast. Next, I got to pick my cuffs. I didn't really have a strong opinion, so although there were several choices there, so I just stuck with round cuffs. From there, I got to choose my inner cuff fabric. And to marry it with the inner collar fabric, I chose the same purple plaid pattern. Now time for buttons. Again, more choices. At this point, with all the creative input I've had in designing my shirt, I'm thinking, boy, am I glad I'm not drunk right now. Who knows what I would have ended up with. So to help contrast with my burly masculinity and rugged good looks, I chose to go with a light pink. Hey, sensitive is sexy. My shirt was looking really good at this point, and I contemplated for half a second adding some ridiculous word as my monogram, but then my better judgment prevailed, fortunately. And with that, I was done designing my shirt. It was time to enter my measurements. I double and triple checked the measurements my wife and I had come up with. I didn't, for instance, want to swap the neck size with the chest size, or otherwise it would be a very weird looking shirt. I took a sip of my old-fashioned. The ice had barely melted at all. This whole process hadn't really taken more than a few minutes. Then I entered my measurements. One thing that was immediately different is that I was able to enter a measurement for my waist, which is, you never get that for off-the-rack shirts. Usually it's just neck size and sleeve length. And that's why they're so boxy. But even after that, I was given one more opportunity to tweak the fit. I got to choose my fit feeling. Basically, how much extra fabric or give did I want beyond my exact body measurements. I really wanted to see how a shirt that, was exactly measured to my body fit, so I chose the lowest setting, regular. At that point, it was time to check out and submit my order. With the click of a button, my order information was sent halfway around the world to Japan. Original Stitch is based in San Francisco, but all of their shirts are handmade in Japan with the highest level of craftsmanship. I got an email confirmation saying that my order had been received, and that I could check the tracking link for progress. After about a month, I received a package in the mail. It had some funny writing on it. It was from Japan, from Original Stitch. It was my shirt! I opened it up. It was beautiful, and it fit me perfectly. Just to give you an example of the difference between an off-the-rack shirt that supposedly fits my measurements and the Original Stitch shirt, which is built exactly to my measurements, check this out. Here's the off-the-rack shirt. Look at how much extra billowy fabric there is. And here's the shirt from Original Stitch. Night and day difference. Beyond the actual shirt, I also enjoyed the process of being able to design my own shirt and have creative input into how it turned out. And what's also great is that if I decide I want another shirt just like this, or to create a new shirt, my measurements are already in the system. I can just click a button and get another shirt that fits me exactly perfectly, just like this one. So I absolutely love my shirt from Original Stitch. It's my favorite shirt right now. I really like the workmanship, the quality of the handcrafted workmanship. It has a nice firm collar, and it just fits me perfectly. Now, my only gripe about the experience was just that I think they could have done a better job of setting my expectations about how long it would take and when I would receive the shirt. At one point, I did receive an email with a tracking link once the shirt had been shipped from Japan, and I clicked the link, and it took me to a Japanese shipping carrier, and it was actually really hard to figure out kind of what I was looking at. And even when I entered my tracking information, ultimately, it told me that something, was on a boat or on a carrier or moving somewhere, but it wasn't telling me the ultimate delivery date, or at least it wasn't clear to me. So when I spoke to my contact at Original Stitch about this, I did communicate that that would have been nice to have a little more communication about kind of the status, where my order was and like when it was expected. And she did mention that, that's one of the many upgrades that they're working on and enhancements. Looking at the shipping process and perhaps adjusting that, or looking at a different shipping carrier. Other upgrades that they're talking about are doing a new sort of 3D model for the modeling of your shirt while you're doing it that is more representative of different body sizes. Right now it's just based on sort of like a very svelte, athletic looking body, and not everyone looks like that. The other thing is that they're looking at more detailed descriptions of their myriad fabrics. And then the final thing is more shirt customizations like torso length. So I have no doubt that Original Stitch will continue to improve their process and continue to improve their service. And honestly, in the meantime, they make great shirts. I'm really happy with mine. I'm going to order another one. And if you've never had a chance to get a shirt that fits you perfectly, now might be a great time to check it out.